You're listening to the Premier Podcast Network. Welcome to the pinnacle of wrestling entertainment, Premier Streaming Network. Join us at watchonpremier.com to unlock the ultimate wrestling experience. Curated to perfection. Immerse yourself in the spectacular world of wrestling history, where classic battles and unforgettable moments are at your fingertips. Join us today and experience the epitome of curated wrestling content. Because when it comes to wrestling entertainment, Premier sets the standard. Be Premier.
All right. Hey, everybody. This is Dominic DeAngelo of many outlets, and we are back here with another episode of One of a Kind with RVD. And obviously, the star of our show is here. It's Mr. Rob Van Dam. Rob, how you doing, man?
Excellent, man. Excellent, dude. I'm enjoying doing these shows and hearing people talk about it. People are tuning in.
The feedback's been great. Like, people have been not only like learning stuff, but they're like just getting into it. I saw on Twitter today, some guy was like, this and Ted DiBiase are my new two favorite podcasts. So
Cool.
We're getting some good feedback. And dude, I mean, you were telling me just a little bit ago, you're doing a little RVDology. Well, even beforehand, you've been inspiring some people that you probably don't even know. Because you posted a couple days ago, I think it was, how to be cool like RVD. When you're the passenger, let the driver realize the light turned green on their own. It's not your job to direct traffic. It's controlling factor inside you and how long it can possibly take for them to notice anyway. Relax and enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
What's funny about that is you got a reply. It's somebody said, I'm so guilty of that with my husband. I'll never do it again. Thank you for making me a better person.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. That one, knowing that one person was helped.
Yeah.
Makes it worthwhile anyway. Yeah.
Well, get this. That was my mom. And she doesn't even know. Well, I just told her about the podcast. So you're more than one DeAngelo here.
For real, that was your mom that wrote that?
Yeah, because I looked and I was like, oh, Jennifer wrote that. And I didn't pay no mind to it. And then when I looked back, I was like, wait a second. That's my mom.
Hey.
So
Hey, stop it. So when I write that, in my mind, I just imagine a lot of basic thinkers thinking that I'm angry writing that, thinking, he must be driving and there must be someone in the seat that's just like pissing him off, for him to go off like that, man. And I just imagine that.
Yeah.
Just because I think that, I think I understand somehow how basic thinkers think, but it was actually the complete opposite. Is me being a passenger, and every time like the light turns green, I just kind of like, I wonder like how long it's going to be before she notices. And it's not a big deal, but it's just kind of something that's occurring. And I just thought, a lot of people would feel obligated to tell them, hey, the light's green. And that's like, so not me. I think I'll share, the way that I do it. So it's the exact opposite of what the basic thinkers would think was my inspiration. But I'm just like noticing how cool I am at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Like, be like, you know what? I'm feeling pretty good. It's all right. It's like, I can wait this out.
Yeah.
Built up curiosity. Well, you actually added to another tweet that happened, and it was traffic is a gateway to road rage. That's the statement. And hey, Katie, how are you?
Hey, good.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. How are you?
I'm doing all right, hanging in there. Back from Vegas, so it's been nice.
Yeah. Most of the reaction from that surprised me. I thought that people would just understand that I was just putting different ingredients into the recipe, into the same formula. Like the whole gateway thing is so ridiculous. You could use it for anything, and it's true from that perspective. But yeah.
I thought it was pretty good because it did give you like it made me think about it, and I was like, it kind of depends on the person a lot of the times too.
Yeah, it really wasn't about. Yeah, my comment wasn't about. It wasn't even going on at the time, and nobody was road raging. It was just a thought. I was just thinking, that's because that's when it comes to cannabis. That's something that some people really stick to. They'll seem like so smart. They'll be like, I mean, I know that a lot of, it's really not that bad for you. It's a lot safer, than cigarettes, but it really is a gateway, Rob. It is because my cousin, man, he didn't do nothing, and then he started smoking weed. Boom. Now then he's doing heroin, and that really makes sense to them. So that was really the inspiration. I was just thinking, like, what would they say to me saying, whatever. The entrance ramp is the gateway to fucking
right.
car crashes. Are you gonna argue against that, or is that true the same way?
Right. No, I thought it was pretty cool to kind of have that all tie in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
What was neat too is Bully responded to the video that we shared about you working stiff with him and stuff like that. And he agree with you. He's like, so true. Me and Rob definitely had our share of snug exchanges, mutual respect, always great business, and always tore the house down. And I've taken more of his stiff as fuck 5-star frog splashes than anyone else.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that? That he was probably
a lot of them. He's taking a lot of them.
Yeah. Because somebody asked if it was Jerry Lynn, and I was like, well, that's another good one. But
no, I don't know. That'd be interesting statistically to see what the answer is to that, But I know I had a lot more stiffer matches with Bubba than Jerry, and that was because of what me and Jerry brought out of each other versus what me and Bubba brought out of each other,
Right. Like you were saying last week too. It's like how it depends on who you're working with and
totally.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's a chemical reaction.
That's right. So, I mean, I got to go to Vegas this past weekend. And obviously you guys live there. Did you guys have a pretty good night on Sunday night after the AEW show happened? Sabu was obviously there that night at the show. I think I saw a picture of you at the Nerd. Is that true?
Yeah. So Katie went and met some friends, and she went to the Double or Nothing, and then
oh, nice.
Yeah, she was in a suite with some friends, and then they took her down to the Nerd, and I went down there and picked her up, and then we went where?
Crazy Horse.
Hey.
Oh, snap.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I met
Crazy
up with
Horse
Jerry
3
at the Rancid concert right next door to Nerd Bar.
Oh, wow.
Punk rock bowling is a big
like,
deal, and I had a few friends that were in town just for that. The movie dude, I was working on set. The director in LA, right after rapping, he drove all the way here for punk rock bowling.
No way.
Yeah.
Now, did you participate? Did you guys bowl?
No, yeah, I think like just the Rancid concert was a part of it. So
I got you.
Yeah, they said there's like a whole bunch of events that were just a part of it. Yeah, and I just met up with Jerry Lynn there, and then we partied at the Nerd. Then Rob went and I went and had our date night. It was a fun day.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
Do you guys have a favorite spot on Fremont? I've been there several times, but I wanted to see if you guys had a certain.
Well, the Nerd Bar is really like the only place that's like regular that we go to, because the owner Johnny is a good friend, and he knows all wrestlers. They even have wrestling at the Nerd Bar.
I didn't know that.
Did you go? You didn't go there, huh?
I didn't go there. Not this time around. I didn't go to.
Yeah, they had a show there this weekend. At least one show in the courtyard. It's in an area on Fremont called Neonopolis.
Okay.
That's where when you drive through, there's like a one block where the intersection is only for walking through one way. It's like blocked off on the well, that's Fremont Street anyway, where it's blocked off because people are walking. But anyway, yeah, he's a good friend and takes care of the wrestlers and everyone traditionally goes there. Willie Mack was there, Sabu was there, then left. I don't know. I guess there was a few of the guys there, but yeah, we ended up talking to Jerry Lynn. People would say, "Oh my God, both fucking shows."
How about that? You guys had similar shirts too, I saw.
Yeah, yeah, that was fun. I didn't notice.
You guys coordinate?
Yeah.
I gotta go back and look at the photo.
Oh, it's funny. There's a fan posted 2 pictures of you guys side by side on Twitter, and it was like, oh my God, they're in the same shirt. Pretty funny stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, Sabu obviously was at Double or Nothing. And Katie, what did you think of the show? What you got to see and everything like that?
It was fun. Yeah, I went and I was backstage, seeing my friends, and then we went to the suite and watched.
Sweet.
Yeah, it was a good time. I liked the show.
I thought so too. I liked it.
Entrance, that was my favorite part.
Which one?
Jade's entrance when she came in.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Pretty girls walk like this. And then she had the singer that sings that song with her, and then the backup dancers. I just love that.
And she revealed too that was all part of her old sorority. I think they were all part of that, which I thought was a really neat tie into all that. So
yeah,
that
was cool.
I thought the show itself, was well rounded and built out. Good stories told and stuff. It was fun. It was a fun show to be a part of and stuff and check out.
Yeah.
How did you guys feel about Sabu's appearance? Did he kind of clue you guys in at all with that, or like was he kind of? Did you guys communicate like that, or did you guys kind of keep it like
Well, I knew that he was going to be debuting on Wednesday, and then after that, I guess I knew that he was going to be part of Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe he jumped through a table in a suit. That's what threw me off.
Yeah.
It was cool to see him in a suit. Like he looked like
so
professional.
Classy.
Yeah, that was classy.
Totally
good. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah,
it reminded me of the Sheik.
Yeah. When I was young and training, Sheik really tried to push that on us to dress up and to represent the business, and to make the business look good by dressing classy. But that never really clicked with me, and I never really had anything nice to wear at the time when I was really young, and he was telling me that, and I've only acquired anything since then by default. So
I look back in all the candid photos of Sheik, like I've seen on Twitter and stuff like that. He's a sharp dresser, man. He was super sharp dresser. Yeah.
It was cool seeing Sabu like that too.
Nice.
Yeah, I thought they presented him really well, both on Dynamite and at the show. So I thought that was cool.
Cool.
So overall, like what you've seen of AEW and everything like that, I think you and guys like you and Sabu, we're gonna get to the random match here tonight, but I think a lot of people in AEW could learn a lot from the style that you guys kind of wrestled in. Like you do some of the crazy stuff, but noticing the matches that you guys had in the past, it's like, wow, there's a lot of good pacing to telling it, where some of it's a little bit faster paced in AEW, obviously, with how the wrestling goes. But I think a lot of people can learn a lot from you guys, you and Sabu. So,
you mean from on hand, or you mean just from watching our old shit?
I think from a little bit of both. Like mostly, a lot of what I was thinking about was from watching your guys' stuff, and how you guys. Yeah. So, no, I thought, and like I said, that show itself was good. The main event I liked a lot, but yeah, it just made me note about when, because the random match we're doing, I think we're gonna call it Rob Van Random is the matches for the week, maybe.
Rob Van Random.
Rob Van, what do you think of that? Is that good or is that too cheesy?
Rob Random.
Rob Random. I like that better. I like that one. All right, so the match, our producer or one helper, Chris, he helped pick out, and it is yes, sir, YouTube Chris, ECW WrestlePalooza 1998.
I know the match.
Yes, you and Sabu going at it
Atlanta.
Go ahead.
This is in Atlanta, so for ECW, that's a big deal because the further we travel from Philly, we're reaching fans that are out there. Because the company hadn't been like on a national tour for years like WWE, so it's still a big deal to go somewhere and see how many hardcore ECW fans have been staying up late at night to watch them imitate the fans in Philly and shit. I remember Junkyard Dog was there. I was upset that New Jack punched him.
Oh shit, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think allegedly JYD stiffed New Jack maybe $50 for some coke. But at the time, it was just a bunch of drama, like New Jack often was, and he just kept saying, "He come up on me. He come up on me. He come up on me," like over and over and over and over again. He come up on me. so that was an inside joke forever. I mean, whoever else was there could always say and know what we were talking about. But I was like, "Oh man, you punched JYD." Maybe I don't know if I said it to him. I was probably like, "He punched him." I was bummed because JYD was, he was one of the OGs when I grew up watching him, and I thought, how disrespectful. But I don't know what happened.
Dude, I loved JYD as a kid, and did you interact with him at all while you were there at WrestlePalooza and stuff, JYD?
I don't know if I did there, but I have before on the indie shows when I wrestled around Georgia in the areas. So I would have been 92, 93.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, no, JYD's always a standout. And like him able to do what he did, like in Mid-South and Louisiana, all the pops he would get, he was hot, man. So yeah, definitely. Yeah. So yeah, about it being in Georgia, like how did Paul kind of plan that venue out in specific? Did he want obviously he wanted to expand from the Northeast and make it big, but that seemed like a wild one to kind of start with. I saw you guys in Florida beforehand and stuff,
but we did some random shit. We came. I mean, at first it was just all the little towns around Philly, and New York. But then, we were in Florida. I don't know if we came to Michigan, maybe. I don't know, but actually we did come to Michigan, and I don't know, Georgia. I can't remember all the places. I know we went to Canada once.
I saw Kissimmee, Florida. You guys went to
sure.
Fort Lauderdale, I think was another one. Yeah.
We we had some regular haunts there in Fort Lauderdale and in Kissimmee, and so that became like something we would do every once in a while. And so, we were growing, we were expanding, and that was part of it.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And the crowd was hot for you guys coming into it too. So it was pretty neat. Does it feel 25 years ago? Because it's over 25 years ago at this point, May 3rd, 1998. So
it does, bro. It feels like it was that long ago. Long ass time ago. Two things stick out in my mind from the actual match. One of them was my 180 Van Daminator, because that was one of those things where the risk factor made it not worth keeping for me. But I'm sitting on the top rope in the corner, and Sabu went to do the Hurricane Rana, and I held on to the rope and braced myself, and boom, he bumped, and he's laying down there below me. And I jumped up and spun around and cleared the top rope, split my legs, boom, bounced back into the split-legged moonsault. And I was, I don't know if I'd done that maybe once or twice else on TV, but for the most part, that was something that I always thought that'd be cool to perfect, but it wasn't worth the risk factor of maybe fucking it up. So I didn't keep that like as a regular one. So that's something I remember was that it was cool just to show that I could do that. A lot of moves are like that, by the way, that you can find footage of me doing them and someone's using it as a finish now. And it was something I only did once or twice or whatever. Because, I was exploring my potential and boundaries of the laws of gravity and everything back then. Why wouldn't I? But the other thing I remember is Sabu throwing up. Going up the corner. Yeah.
I had to double check. Because I watched it like on my flight before I took my flight back to Vegas.
Yeah,
and I was like
watching the top rope in the corner. And
he's like laying over the apron, and he's like, I was like, did he just throw up?
A pay-per-view.
Now, was he sick, or was it just something happened that he caused him to throw up? What was going on? Do you know?
I can't remember.
Yeah.
I think he was sick going into it.
Oh, man. Well, I think what was really neat is kind of the story that laid out a bit about this was like, there was who was Bill Alfonso siding with, and he was managing both of you guys at the same time. And then you guys get into the ring. You have the crooked ref Jeff Jones in there, and then on top of that, once the bell rings, you guys do some pretty cool stuff starting off, like a little bit of razzmatazz, and then like you get on the mic and you're like, you really think I'm gonna attack my tag partner here? He's like, you made a plan all this time, and like, so you're like getting in on the deal and ready for him to do his split
His pose.
Yeah, the pose, and then like leap onto you and attack Jeff Jones, and then he kicks you. And so I thought it was a good build to all that stuff, and set it up really nicely for like, oh, hey, they're going to have a match. But it was kind of neat because even after all that stuff, you guys still are friends, like from the story perspective of it. Tension, obviously, but it was there, talk about how that kind of like tagging with Sabu in general. Did you prefer him as an opponent, or did you kind of like tagging with him more so?
I guess tagging with him, I mean, he's my favorite guy to work with, but tagging with him because we're brothers, and there's nobody else in the business that I feel that about, you know what I mean? Like to that degree where, I would want to protect him, and it's organic. And I really liked doing the interviews when I would just try and like push him back, and make it all about me, and he'd get mad, and I would just like manipulate his energy or whatever, because it was a really good chemistry, good matchup, and it was a lot of fun. So I missed that too. And also though, we were so like-minded that it would be cool we would both. It was advantageous for us to be partners because we would both know where we're at in the match, and where we want it to go, and where it should go according to our opinion. Just being on the same page, more than with most people, I guess.
Yeah, no, and like you could definitely tell the chemistry with you guys, even like just in that match going against one another. And I think what was neat too is the different kind of body language you both had. Like Sabu either looked frustrated or conflicted a lot, like throughout the story, and then you were just like living the life kind of deal and being like, all right, we're a tag team, but we got a ploy going on here. And even after that, you're still like confident enough, like, oh yeah, I'll still fight Sabu and we'll still be all right afterwards,
Yeah.
It played out really well like that, I thought. For listeners that kind of aren't aware of like you and Sabu's relationship, how did you guys kind of start out with the Sheik and all that stuff? Can you just give a little basic background? We'll get into Sabu more, I'm sure, down the road, but just as a basic kind of outline for people.
Yeah. So I'm bagging groceries at a grocery store at Main Street Market, and saving money to go to wrestling school. I think I'm going to go to Boston, Killer Kowalski School at this time. Oh. And this big 300 some pound power lifter comes through, and we start talking, and I befriended him, told him I'm going to be a wrestler. I wish I had his size. He tells me that he's wrestling. And I had no idea there was such a thing as like indies, in the whole independent circuit. I had no idea. And anyway, he was doing a little bit of that, and he was working out with the Sheik, and he ended up introducing me to the Sheik, talking to him about me, and then bringing me in one time. And so when I met the Sheik, it was in the middle of winter in Michigan, so very cold, snowy, and Sheik's son, Tom, he had a garage that was that they had the ring in, and the ring was cut in half. And so it was 8 feet by 16 feet.
Wow.
Yeah. And so they could squeeze it in there. And the Sheik, he told me to go in the ring and to show him all the stuff I could do, because I said I'm acrobatic and I'm a martial artist. I do kicks and flips and splits and whatever. And so he's like, show me. And I'd be boom, 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 do a cartwheel, a spin kick. What else you got? And I'd say, oh, all right, I'd do a nip up, and do a fucking split. But all right, what else you got? And I'd do a backflip off the rope. Eventually I ran out of shit. He's like, okay. I didn't know how good if I was doing good or bad. I had no idea. I'm like, I can do this. And I would jump, and he says, okay, and he says, Terry, get in there. And this dude gets in, hippie looking, big, bushy, long, big hair, skinny little legs. And he comes at me and he just bam, he like locked up with me. And he started like pushing me and pulling me and pushing and pulling and jerking me around. And so like I'm balancing with him. I started like countering and struggling and trying to offset his attack. And I don't really understand what I'm supposed to be doing. But he's testing me, obviously for balance, coordination, all kinds of things. And then he started like arm dragging me. And I was like, wow, he had one of the most beautiful arm drags. And I was like, all of a sudden I was like, okay, this guy knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
That was awesome. And that was Sabu. And so Sabu and I would be in the ring working out. And there was eventually Dango came along. Tom was the big guy that introduced us. That was mostly it. Judge Dredd was around sometimes, and that would be Sabu, and then like, what's that, 4 of us. So it wasn't like a school or even a class. It was like real intimate, like family, like getting together, and Sheik almost never actually got in the ring. Once in a while he would. But he was already like, I think in his 70s at that time. He acted like it. And it was mostly Sabu in the ring with us. And Sheik, when she gave him the name, he didn't like it at first.
Yeah.
But it was Sabu the Elephant Boy is what he wanted him to go by.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, so when did he give him the name?
So shortly after I came aboard and I joined the family. Sabu had been around the Sheik for about 6 years before that, and he carried his bags and he would work on the card, and help him out, be his young boy. And then shortly after I came along, he gave him that gimmick. And then we went in 91, because that was December of 89 was when I walked into that garage the first time. December of 89. And then in 91, we went to Tennessee. That was our first territory where you're on that loop. And they fucked up and called him Samu, S-A-M-U. So we got a big kick out of that. Yeah. So it was in between there. So I guess it was 90 that he got that name.
Well, how about that? Like, I got to ask, too, because I noticed in the first sequence of this match, too, in particular, you guys were doing a little bit of mat work and stuff like that. Like, was that something that the Sheik kind of instilled in Sabu and you guys a little bit when you started off? Because, like, it looked like, man, Sabu almost how I felt, too, was like, I'm so used to Sabu doing all the crazy and wild stuff. But, like, it looked like
Sabu could actually wrestle. Yeah, Sabu can actually wrestle, and he did wrestle in school.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I could definitely notice that. I definitely noticed that at the beginning of the match and everything.
One time me and Dango were getting on his nerves when the 3 of us were training. And so he was, I can't remember what the argument was over, but he told us that he would pin us both. And he did.
Did he?
Yeah. Yeah. I got winded. I remember I was so winded, so blown up, and being young, and I probably tried to play it off like, well, I was laughing too hard or something like that. But
yeah.
He did.
He got you. He got you. So was it always the plan too for you guys to kind of build to this story kind of thing? Because like even beforehand, this match was promoted as Bam Bam going against Sabu initially, and then you won the title from him the month before. And then it came into that you guys are going. Was Paul had this kind of in the back of his mind that he wanted you guys to kind of go one-on-one with one another a lot more?
You'd have to ask Paul. I really
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I was curious about that. Talk about Bill Alfonso a little bit. How was he for you guys both as a team? And then initially, did he do some kind of like a lot of help backstage with you guys as well too?
Yeah. Fonzie, we really loved working with Fonzie, and he took his job really serious too. So he's really just the manager on TV, but he's happy to have that gig and to be working with the main eventers. And so in reality, he's busting his ass, trying to show us that he's happy to to be there and take care of us. So he would when he would get to the hotel first and try and make sure that I get like the biggest room possible. And
Really?
stuff like that. Yeah. He would always do something like that. He would try and take care of us, and he has like nonstop energy. So he's always like on the go. Like he needs to wake up at 8 a.m. and start doing jumping jacks and stuff. And he's so wired that way. Envious a little bit because I don't have nearly that much energy, but I knew right away, he was family, and so like he was always there with us when we were traveling, when we were partying, and when we were doing our business in the ring.
Yeah, and I think as a younger kid watching it too, I just remember being like, oh man, like he's like he would be obnoxious to the point where it'd be like, oh, like kind of balancing it out a little bit where like, you're likable, Sabu's likable because of the style, but then he's like kind of all right. That Bill Alfonso's like fucking, you know what I mean?
Yeah. People would always bitch about the whistle. How could you stand that annoying whistle? I would just get used to it, I guess, and I wouldn't even notice it unless it was right in my ear. Which once in a while he would do that. I made the match more funny because I'd grab him by his shirt or something. He would always do stuff like that. Sometimes I'd be laying on my back, taking a breather, after getting kicked or something, and then he would like pour water down my throat, and I wouldn't even see it coming. And I'd be like choking, like, dude, you're killing me, and stuff like that. And like I say, it was organic. It would just happen all the time. Made it a lot of fun.
Well, even the dynamic in this match too, it was kind of neat because you would want him to do shit for you, like he'll hold the chair while you guys were fighting on the guardrail, and like he doesn't do it, and you're like, what the fuck? And they're like kind of like interacting with him then, and he's like playing both sides of the field in a lot of ways, like oh, I'm on Rob's team now, I'm on Sabu's team. It's just like a very neat dynamic.
That's when he came into my dressing room when we tried to get it all smoked up so he could like wave it off before the matches. Yeah,
it's good stuff. Something I really liked about this aspect, not only the crazy shit that you guys did and everything like that, but I thought like the added bits of humor that you guys did, like after the match, as well as like what you did during the match. So for you in specific, you did like, okay, you did something with the chair, and the chair was and Sabu was laying down, and then you casually kicked the chair out of the way, and then you casually hit an elbow drop for a pin, like a nonchalant pin attempt. I thought that was hilarious. And then when you climbed up top, you tested the air like the wind.
Yeah.
Little subtleties like that I thought was pretty fun. When did you kind of get to that point where you're like, I'm going to incorporate some like kind of funny shit into the ring? Was there a moment where you started feeling more confident in being able to do that, do you think?
I think it was probably right around then, around 97. Working as a heel with ECW. I came in 96 of January. And I came in as a heel, but, looking at that guy, I mean, I was a baby, like so green. And then getting over, working with Sabu, and then staying over, and then feeling like I was actually building and earning some clout. A byproduct of that is confidence, and then that allows you to go ahead and make some brave decisions and be committed to a certain ideology that you wouldn't necessarily have the balls to commit to. So it was right around then, 97, 98. And when I beat Bam Bam for the championship, that was just a whole new level. The fans treated me like I was somebody different then, like I was on a superstar level that I never had been on before. And thank God I never climbed down from either. But it was just that one night was huge difference in the amount of respect and just placement that I felt in the industry. My value went through the roof,
as JR indicated too later on. I thought it was really neat too, like the crowd reaction to you, and like you could tell like you were feeling confident now, all that throughout all that stuff, because I mean throughout like when you're walking in the ring, you're talking trash to the camera, you're doing all that kind of stuff. It was just really neat added aspects like that's why RVD's so damn cool. It's a lot of that. So,
I was always a lot more comfortable in ECW than I was with WWE, and it's a shame that I couldn't get really comfortable, but it just felt like so many people wanted me to do things that were so different than what I thought was right. I think that was like a big part of it. And it was, I don't know, there was always just the whole company had a way of keeping you very humble, but lots of different ways. And so my own image of self-value wasn't, hey, I'm the whole effing show here. It was more like, hey, how come I don't have a cardboard cutout at the airport? It was, and so there was a lot of it was that until we brought the ECW back in WWE, and then I'm sure, boom, you saw that change. All of a sudden, I was like, fuck yes, now I can be me again. But it wasn't intentional. I wanted to feel comfortable, but it was, it was hard. It was a pretty rigid fit.
Well, I kind of think too, not only did you have to worry about like politics and the mind games or certain aspects like that went into play, but then the structure of how WWE was probably, there, and how, Vince and that all set up, and it's just a different vibe altogether, and, just a bigger environment too, which is, if I know from a creative aspect, it throws anybody off, if you're in that kind of element where you're having to worry about all the other outside bullshit and stuff too. So
but so ECW around 98, and then moving forward, I felt like my efforts were more and more important and paid off bigger and bigger, which was just great because that inspired me to work harder and harder. And so that's why that was like one of the most fun runs of my career was the TV championship, and seeing the actual attendance and interest build with everything that we're doing. That was awesome.
Now, did you like that Georgia crowd when you were there? Do you remember how the reaction and all that stuff came through it?
Yes. I mean, I don't remember specifically anything that night, but I mean, that was not new to me. I had been through Georgia, and I think I wrestled in every town in Georgia, prior to this. I came to, 91, 90, in 92, I moved to Augusta, Georgia in 92.
Oh, okay.
And I wrestled all over every little town in Georgia and the Carolinas. And then I moved to Savannah, which, was just to be on the coast, but I was still working the same territory. And I did so many fundraisers. And I was partners with Greg Price. We were actually running shows, and he would book these buildings and fundraisers, and he'd be in Baxley and Alma, and of course, Ben Masters down in Cordell City in South Atlanta. That's a big where we found Dan Masters. Yesterday, he would have been 41, by the way. I think we should do a live show and talk about him. He was around, and then all of a sudden, no one really knows what happened. And I have so many pictures. People remember him, and he knew everybody. And crazy death that he had. That I think we should. Sometime I'll talk to you about that. But I want to do a show on him. But
definitely fill me in on it, because I'd love to do something like that for sure.
So he was from Americus, Georgia, which was right down there by Cordell City. But dude, I ran that was Valparaiso. No, that's Indiana. What was it? Valdosta, Georgia. I could name so many. And then in WCW in 90, at the end of 92, beginning of 93, again, that was Georgia again, hitting all those same towns that I had hit, going up as high as Tennessee and stuff like that. But a lot of Georgia and the Carolinas and things that were 300-mile radius of Atlanta.
Well, I think Paulie too, this particular event, he billed it as like enemy territory too, because of WCW and all that stuff. So it does make sense. Just Sabu from like overall, I mean, he doesn't get the credit he's deserved, I think, in wrestling a lot of the ways. I think, he's done so much and like, really pioneered a lot of the styles and, the identity of ECW too in a lot of ways. And do you kind of agree with that statement?
Oh, there's no question about it.
Yeah.
Okay. I remember when he was the only one breaking tables, and he used to be trying to stop other people from doing it, like those the guys that went nah 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 nah.
Oh, Public Enemy.
Yeah.
Yes.
He would tell me that anytime he wasn't on a show, because he'd be on every ECW show, but he was working for New Japan at the time, so sometimes he'd miss a show, and he said every time he wasn't on a show, Public Enemy would break a table, and it would get him hot because he said everyone was stealing it, and like that was like his thing, you know. And at first he would just get it in. Like if he lost a match, he would punish himself by jumping through a table and then like, you know, selling it and rolling. And that's great for his character, because he just reminds me of one time he told me this. This is a second-hand story. I think this was pre-RVD, I think, just around that time when Sheik was his assistant. He did something that made Sheik mad one time in the dressing room. And Sheik was sitting down, and he said, "Hey, come over here. And he said, "Lay down so I can kick you." And he did. Sabu laid down so he could kick him. So that makes me think that maybe that was in his mind when he would punish himself by going through the table after he lost the match and stuff.
That's great. You know, he mentioned too that he would intentionally sometimes miss table spots because he wanted the dirt sheets to think he was crazy. You know, like he wanted to blur the lines.
Yeah, he would. And, he would do that, and he would tell me he's going to do it, and then I would see the write-up, and they would be criticizing him, saying that he missed a bunch of spots because it was so different. It wouldn't fit in, and the only reason to do it would be, hey, that would happen.
Yeah.
That would happen sometimes. Everything wouldn't be perfect. That would happen sometimes, so we should do it. It was like, you know, but everyone's gonna think you fucked up. So he would do that for no reason. Like, boom, set me up, chair, top rope. He would slip and like fall to the floor, and everyone would be like, "What just happened?" You know. And he wanted that realism and wanted to work the people in the moment so much that, you know, sacrificed some of his credibility with certain marks
and stuff. Yeah, playing into it. That's so good. I love that. Well, obviously, you know, how great would it be to see him in the Hall of Fame next year for WWE Philly? I mean,
that would be like great.
Match made in heaven for you. You know, if anybody should go in for ECW, it's like, you're already in, obviously, but you know, Sabu's number one too.
Hopefully he would. Sometimes when he does interviews and stuff, you know, he's his own worst enemies, and so he's got to have a good positive energy run for a while to make up for sometimes when he was really kind of burying himself. That's the best way to put it.
Yeah, you know, it's like looking back at his, you know, the trajectory of his career and stuff like that. It's just like, man, as I get older as a wrestling fan and like being like, wow, yeah, he's had such a huge influence. So it's kind of cool. We get to talk about him here, and then like, you know, he was just doing the thing for AEW. So I think it's great to kind of capture everybody, you know.
I feel like the original Sheik taught Sabu and I both to really be original. Especially early in my career, people would ask about the difference in style. How could the original Sheik have trained you when you're a high flyer doing these flips, and he's so grounded and grab them and stab them, and I said the psychology, like he taught us all to believe in what we're doing, to believe in every moment. When we're in there, we're committed to that moment, and it's something that unfortunately I see lacking nowadays. And I mean, I wouldn't care to explain it to the public, you know, but I could explain it to the wrestlers for sure.
Absolutely.
You know, but that's one thing I think that Sabu and I both, I think, even though our styles were different, and I was a kickboxer, you know, when I met him, so I brought that. And he didn't do flips or anything like that. You know, I taught him how to do a backflip, and
really?
And he taught me how to do everything else, how to wrestle. But I feel like we both really got that from the Sheik about being original, standing out, not taking after somebody, and making our own spot instead of trying to take someone's spot. and doing it the right way. Doing it with the right foundation, the right mindset, so that you're not doing something that's never been done before because it's so stupid or dangerous that nobody would fucking want to do it anyway.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think too it really speaks to the knowledge of the Sheik, because he's showing like, hey, originality is important, and like not only that, but he was a forward thinker and being like, well, you guys are innovative and do your own kind of like, have your own style and stuff like that. It might not have been what the Sheik did in the ring in certain ways, but like he had the forethought to be like, you guys have it, and that makes you guys stand out and unique. And he was pretty big at embracing, like having you embrace a lot of the stuff. He didn't like kind of he was never like kind of like, oh, don't do that kind of shit, but do this a little bit more. Or what did he kind of find the balance for you guys a little bit?
When I think about the actual training days, we weren't doing like, hey, I want to do a sunset flip over the top rope and power bomb you to the floor. We weren't doing that stuff in front of him anyway. So with him, it was about wrestling. It was about grabbing. It was about trying to beat them. Like that's in our mindset behind the whole time, the whole match, and it doesn't leave, even if we're pausing because of our plan of attack. We don't forget that we're trying to beat him. That would be something he would drill in us. Like, what are you doing? Cover him. He's laying on his back. And
yeah.
There was a lot of that. But it was always with Sheik. It was always about being rougher. Squeeze him harder. Grab him and bring him in closer to your body. And as far as moves, it was basically a lot of it was just about the headlock, a go behind, the arm bars. That was a big part of it, was just always having that to go back to you can grab that from anywhere that you're at. Maybe a sit out and a leg sweep, but there was certain moves that he wanted us to have down. So no matter what, if we were lost, we could always grab an arm bar.
Right.
And, and that was kind of the nucleus of his training.
Man, I'm like so fascinated by him. Like I'm like looking forward to continuing this, like getting more details about him. So I want to pace it out over time though. This is good shit. Did you happen to, I don't know, read the audiobook or the book that just came out about him with Brian Solomon?
Yeah, I wrote the foreword for it.
Oh no shit. Okay, great.
Yeah, but I haven't finished the book yet, and it's so good. And I feel bad that I haven't written Brian and told him good job yet, but I want to wait till I'm done.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's so lengthy and it's so informative that every once in a while I take a break from it, and then I'll read like 2 or 3 books at the same time. Like I'm reading about right now. I'm almost done with the book that Henry Hill's kids wrote about being on the run in the witness protection program.
Really?
And so like I'll read through that, and then I'll go back and forth sometimes, and let me go back to the Constitution for Dummies, but it depends on what kind of mood I'm in or whatever with reading it. And it's like, that one's not a quick read. Let me put it that way.
It's a big book.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big book.
Very good, very informative, and he did do a great job. And I am going to tell him that, but I want to get through it, and I'm learning all kinds of stuff about Sheik's career that I didn't know. And some of the stuff is interesting because I can see some of the ways that he did things, that he passed on to me.
That's awesome. I know. Well, it's definitely on my reading list too, and maybe we can get Brian on here to one of these shows too.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, that's a good one. All right, so that does it for the wrestling stuff. One of my favorite segments. I'm learning always an education here on One of a Kind. It's Guess the Gangster segment.
Okay.
So I think I got a good one, a good balance here. Maybe you will be like, no, this is a layup. But I'm kind of curious of where you're gonna fall out on this one.
Yeah, me too.
All right, you ready? Here it is.
Okay.
Boom. Born on November 17th, 1899 in Italy. The older brother of another Gambino member of the family. He limped due to a hip fracture. Specialized in narcotics, particularly heroin, I looked at. And he did some cocaine running too, I believe. And then he was an early pioneer in the drug trade at the end of Prohibition. And he was also, I don't think he was, from what I heard, but he was rumored to be one of the killers of Al Anastasia, the guy we did last week. So do you know who he is? Older brother. And
Well,
I believe the younger brother was more famous than he was. And it seemed like the other guy was a pretty notorious name.
well, it's definitely not an easy one.
He died in 1961. No, he was 61 when he died. So, and then his brother lived to be all the way till 1992, actually.
Oh, no shit. Wow.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? Like, that's amazing. These guys that were born before the turn of the century and lived through all of this, still being alive in our lifetime.
How wild is that, too? It's like, geez, I was 7 in 92. So like the dude was still kicking then.
Yeah, I don't think I'm. Oh, I don't know. Do you have more clues?
That's all I got. I'm trying to think offhand if I thought of
Lip due to a hip fracture. No, Gus Morello had the clutch hand. Lip due to a hip.
He had a pretty good nickname. It was named after a street. That's my probably only other hint I can give you.
Yeah, I tap.
Okay. Stefano, 14th Street, Steve Armani.
Okay. He's Joe Piney, Armon's
yes,
brother.
Exactly. Joe Piney's brother. Mm-hmm.
Got you. Yeah. No, that's a good one. Yeah, I wouldn't. I'm not going, oh, I should have known that, because I wouldn't have, because he's, not a main, not a main.
And Joe Piney, he was a capo, wasn't he a capo?
He was also consigliere.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, and I believe when they wanted to whack Castellano, Joe Piney said that he wasn't going to vote either way. He wasn't going to get in their way, but he wasn't going to vote on it either way. So when Gotti took over, I think they put him on the shelf, Joe Piney, and then made Sammy the Bull, the underboss, and then eventually allegedly consigliere. But I think that's what happened with Joe Piney was when I think he was the consigliere during Castellano's run, and then when Castellano got whacked, because he didn't vote on whacking Castellano, I think they put him on the shelf, gave him a break, and then who was consigliere? Who was John's guy? They blew him up in their car bomb. DeChico, Frank DeChico.
Was that a character too in the Irishman? Did they describe him in the Irishman at all? Do you remember?
No, Frank DeChico?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. I don't think they crossed paths.
Okay. I was trying to think of that.
Frankie Cheech. Yeah, and then who's the one that went down with them? Who went to jail with them? Because I got him mixed up with someone else. Yeah.
The brain teaser.
Yeah. Trying to think of who went. Like Sammy has all these stories about him and the other guy, like when they went to jail, how they were going to turn on Gotti and kill him, and then they take over. And I'm blanking on that guy's name. But he was the consigliere after Joe Piney.
How about that? You're gonna remember, but when we're done, that's what's gonna happen.
Yeah,
it'll hit you when we're done. You'll be like, "Damn it!" You wake up in the middle of the night.
I'll just space out, pretend I'm listening to you while I'm going through the alphabet in my head.
There you go. Yeah. All right. Well, before we get to one of my favorite segments of the show, RVDology, we do have a couple of fan questions I got.
Cool.
Yeah, let's see if I can find where it is in my notes here. Oh, here we go. All right. So, we're going to have to do a segment out of this episode, too, I think. Peter asks here, where did your love of Ghost Rider stem from, and are you still reading?
Well, Ghost Rider was the first comic book I can remember picking up, actually. Ghost Rider number 28, Evil is the Orb. And I used to like going to the store with my mom, and when she would shop I would look at the comic books. And I remember reading Savage Sword of Conan. It was so violent because he'd take a sword and put it like right through somebody's face, you know. And it also had some tits and ass in it. It was like a big magazine size comic. And I used to love that. And Ghost Rider, I think the first one I bought, I think might have been that Ghost Rider number 28. And I just, I really liked his character, and it was cool that other kids at school didn't know about him. Like the other comic book nerds liked Wolverine, the X-Men, and they didn't know much about Ghost Rider. So I felt like he was like more mine, and he was supernatural. So his powers were like, you know, limitless, unmeasurable. And I just really enjoyed the storyline. And so when I was really hard into collecting, nothing to make my day like being at a random comic store on the road or flea market or something and pulling out a comic that fills a spot, you know, like I needed number 78, the Nightmare, you know, the Nightmare, and it was really cool. Now it seems like collecting would be so easy, being able to get online. I could just buy whatever I don't have, it seems like. So I don't see the thrill of it. And no, I don't read anymore. Like Ghost Rider. I had like a whole collection of Ghost Rider at my other house that was like everything that was made with his trademark, I would buy it. So I had every statue I knew of, every action figure and t-shirts, and even a bunch of random shit, you know, whether it was like a bottle opener, pocket knife, anything. I had 2 display cases full of it because I was a hardcore collector. And when I got divorced and then I moved, I decided that wasn't going to be part of this next chapter in my life, because I went through this rock bottom period where I was scraping my face on the ground, and I had to build myself back together. And I just decided to leave that part out of the new building blocks. And I just decided, you know what? I'm going on into my later part of my 40s and whatever. I think I'm going to leave this shit behind. And I did. I just left all of it. So now I just collect RVD.
Hey, there you go. You know, what did you think of the Ghost Rider movie with Nick Cage?
I was stoked that they did it, that they did a Ghost Rider movie. You know, I mean, I could critique it because I liked it when he was portrayed more as a darker character, you know, this hell spawn. Originally, he used to fight Satan.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, like number 9 is Satan on the cover, and it's like eventually, and the son of Satan was a character in Marvel. Not really politically correct, but eventually they made it so that it was Mephisto,
that was it. Yeah,
pretending he was Satan, you know, and it was like, but it was still cool. I enjoyed the supernatural aspect of his whole adventures.
I think nowadays too, that they've done like Daredevil on Netflix, and they've done the Punisher, and that made a more like extreme darker versions. They could definitely do a good one of Johnny Blaze for sure.
Didn't they do something where he was a race car driver or something? I thought I saw one.
Like in one of the shows?
I can't remember if he had his own.
I'll have to look that up, because I would be intrigued to see that, you know.
There was a different human host, you know, like this. That's the idea, was that the spirit Zarathos was the original Ghost Rider spirit. He was put in a human host as punishment, and then throughout the years transferred from human to human, and having this life where in his memory was erased and all this shit. So the whole long-term story was him regaining himself and learning about his former self. And I was just so into it. I loved it. I loved the people he would fight when it was like Circus of Freaks and Nightmare, of course, Mephisto, and Spidey's opponents too. He fought them too, Mysterio and anybody. I like it when he would fight Spidey. I like it when they would all fight each other. But there was always a way that, like, because he's supernatural, there's always a way he could do something that we could be like, oh, well, I didn't know he could do that. You know?
Fuck, dude. You want me to go? I've got graphic novels over here. I got to get some Ghost Rider now. It's cool too that it was like he was an outside kind of character too. That like, yeah, you could kind of relate to and be like, all right, this is my guy in particular. I liked X-Men. I was a big X-Men fan, and Gambit was my guy. So everybody liked Wolverine, like you were saying. So I was like, oh, Gambit's pretty cool. You know, he's
Yeah.
So it kind of balanced out. So I feel that for sure, man. Okay. Cameron Otoku asks, is cannabis helping you for your pain after all these years working as a wrestler?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It helps. It doesn't take away pain. Like narcotics will actually like take it away, and I'll forget, like, oh yeah, I forgot that my elbow was hurting me, for the last 3 hours because I, took a Norco or something.
Mm-hmm.
With cannabis, it's more like it allows me to cope with it. So if something's bothering me, and then I use cannabis, it might not bother me anymore. Like I will still be mentally connected to it and still be aware that it doesn't have as much movement, or I can feel sometimes maybe the area is inflamed, like swollen or whatever. But I'm more like, oh yeah, that's right. And it's not a big deal. So it makes it okay. Like, just like with a lot of things in life, cannabis really does a lot for coping.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm a novice at all that stuff. Is there like a certain strain that kind of helps, or how would you go about like recommending something like a particular?
So basically the rule of thumb is that indica is a stronger kind of high that will numb you more. It's better for pain. It's also better for like maybe stomach problems. But it can make you sleepy, which is also good for helping you sleep. And then a sativa is usually it's considered like more of a functioning bud, and they say it can inspire creativity and give you energy and make you feel good. And so mostly, like, I will keep that in mind. Like, I don't like weed that I smoke and I just want to nap all day.
Right.
And even if I smoke a lot, I will still come across some that does that. Like, that's just, it's too heavy of an indica for me. But if I was hurt, especially if I was recovering from surgery or something, I would just be like, just give me indicas. You know what I mean? I'm in bed recuperating. I just want to numb as much as I can and not feel it and rest. So everything has its place with that, with timing and what you're looking for. But most strains seem to be like a hybrid. And so, usually for functioning and keeping ahead of the pain so that it's not bothersome, like a good sativa dominant hybrid is something, that'll keep me surfing through the day, especially if I don't have like an injury that's really standing out.
Yeah, so just like minor like pains or whatever kind of thing.
Yes, in my back. Yeah, plane rides beat me up more than matches, and I've said that for my whole career. Like, sometimes I'll have a 20-minute match, go all over the arena, and that night I'm like, man, I feel really good. I felt good out there. I feel great now. By the time I only get 2 hours sleep, and then I got to ride an airplane and sleep like this, for a couple hours, and then sometimes I have a connection and I have to fucking walk across an airport and get on another plane and do the same thing again. By the time I get home, I'm usually pretty stiff that day, and I've always said that it's the plane ride that beats me up more than the actual matches. And they're made like the way they kind of curve in.
Yeah,
it's weird. Like the shoulders actually come in, and it's like, I'm shaped the opposite. I have like an extreme curvature of my back that's contradictive to being comfortable and something like that. I got to put like a big pillow behind my back, and that's my only hope.
that was me fucking riding home from Spirit this past time. Feeling that pain.
Headrests too, like even in cars, I always wonder, like, why do they have the headrest like come in like that?
Right.
Like, I want to like straighten it out. If anything, maybe bend it back.
Yeah, right.
Use it. I'm not like gonna. I don't know who does that. Who puts their head back against the headrest and just decides that's comfortable when they're driving. I don't know, but when it's leaning forward, I'm like, hey, can someone do something about this headrest? In a car or on an airplane. Like, fuck, dude, how am I gonna be comfortable like this?
Holy shit. Jeez. All right, last question. It's from the guy who helps curate this, Instagram wrestling historian. He asked, the dirt sheet said it was going to be you versus Rey Mysterio at WrestleMania 21 before your knee injury. Is that true? And if so, do you know who was going to go over? It sounds like almost an Ask Vince question, but do you know anything, Rob?
Ask Vince. I really don't. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know if that was going to be the match or what. So yeah, I don't know on all of that.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Fair enough. All right. It is time for RVDology. Rob, what I learned from your last week's last recording, I made a conscious effort to kind of just support other people as it went on, especially being on social media and things like that. Sometimes you see things get tweeted out and you're like, oh, I could like that. Or, and sometimes you just scroll on through. But this time I was just like, somebody's trying to get their word out about something or, whatever. And so, yeah, I'll like it. Or I think there was a YouTube video too. I thought about this before we recorded. I was like, there was a YouTube video. Say what?
Spark them if you got them. Right?
Exactly. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Light them up if you got them for sure.
Listeners.
Yes. But I remember too being like, oh, they got me, because it was kind of like one that was almost clickbaity, and I clicked on it and I was like, oh, they got me. And
then you liked it.
And then I ended up liking it. So
yeah. Well, good. And then have you seen a payoff for that yet?
In certain regards, I think so. What I kind of find satisfying too is if the person reacts like they definitely responded or something like that. Like I always try to thank people and stuff like that. Especially if they're giving me credit or anything like that, or they say something nice to me. I want to make an effort out of the way to, hey, thank you for giving me that kind of feedback, even if it's like kind of constructive too. But so a lot of the times, I'm trying to think in particular if there was anything really, but. No, but it definitely created more of a positive sense on social media, I think.
Yeah. So you put yourself into a bigger pool of positivity. So that's good. The reason I ask about the payoff is just that karma comes back in many forms, and something might have stuck out in your mind.
Yeah. I think some of the cool feedback that we've gotten from the show has been kind of rewarding in a lot of ways. And just like, even just the random stuff. Hell, my mom commenting, I was like, dude, that's kind of nice.
Yeah.
I didn't even prompt her, so.
Yeah. Oh, no, that's awesome. I think I don't have any interest in like going backwards. So that makes it growth. You know what I mean? Like here's what I'm thinking that I'm trying to articulate. Like Katie kind of introduced me into like a whole new world of girls that actually want you to look at them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like so different. So like I think about where I was before, where I wasn't even allowed to look at anything, or else I was doing something wrong and I should feel guilty for some reason. And and I'm being but from there to where it's like she knows like all of her friends, are the reason that they're posing on Instagram and showing you their ass is because they want to get a lot of likes. And so, and I'm all about that. Guess what? I want to look at them too. So, hey, good job. You know what I mean? And it doesn't even matter if it's someone that's like a girlfriend or a wife of someone that I know that's a dude or whatever, then, I'm just going to give them a like and like scroll on as opposed to falling in love with the picture, which sometimes it's like, damn, look at this. But yes, by her being so positive and her, wanting me to like those and to support and thinking that's a good thing and stuff. It's like that's like a whole new world of happiness around me now that is surrounding me. And I think of where I was before with haters, where people just hate on each other, and it's like, God, like I wouldn't want to go back to that. It's
it's kind of like what do they call it? Like the red pill almost, where it's like, oh, he wakes up and be like, Jesus, life isn't kind of like that, where you're just
yeah.
Jeez. Yeah. All right. Well, Rob, the floor is yours here, man, for some RVDology. Let's get to kicking on it.
Okay. So I just want to touch upon this ideology that I have. I think that people in general are very uncomfortable with what they don't know. And that's an issue because then they fill in the gaps with bullshit. It might be something that they know is bullshit, or they just make something to fill up the blanks, and then it makes them feel more comfortable. But it could be still like really far from the truth. And so something that's important to me is knowing what I know. And in order to know what I know, I have to know what I don't know. And so that's what's really is important. You need to know that most of the time, what you don't know is so much more than what you do know about anybody, a person, about a circumstance, about anything. You just don't know, and how can you? Like, what do you really know? Way back when I was, well, I guess I was 18 or 19, because I was training for the Tough Man contest, the first one, I think. Anyway, this dude that was training me, he did a lot of really unorthodox training, and he put this principle in my head about only committing to what you really know. And one of the ways he explained it, he said he pointed at the screen on his door. The upper half had a window cut out where there was a screen of this push open door. And he said, "How big is that screen?" And I was like, I guess it's like, I don't know, 2.5 feet. He said, "Is it?" I don't know. He said, well, how big is it? I guess it's, he said, "No, just tell me what you know." And I was trying to grasp his meaning. And it was like, what do I really know for sure that I can tell him about that's not just a guess, you know?
Mhm.
And I looked at it and I was like, I don't know. And he said, "Put your hand up there on the screen." And so I did. I put my hand up there and he said, "Is the screen bigger than your hand?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, there you go. You know that. You know the screen is bigger than your hand." And I was like, that's true. Like, I know that, but what else do I really know? And that really like hit home with me. And I adapted that and made that part of my perspective always. The older I get and the more I focus on my own spiritual growth, the more important that has become. But people try to put words in my mouth all the time, and I just say, I don't know, because I don't know. It could be anything, you know. Hey, they found a hidden camera in the hotel room. Wow, so that means that person was watching footage of them and jerking off, huh? I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't.
Yeah.
People are uncomfortable with not knowing everything. And so a lot of people, it's just their habit to fill in the blanks or to be like a shitty detective and try to come up to a resolution really quick. And you know, it's like, "Oh man, your tire is flat. Damn, that means you've been driving around with a flat tire all day then, huh?" I don't know. How would I know that? You know what I mean? If you buy a dog and you know that you're going to be burying that dog, if you think, well, you know, the dog's only going to live so long, I know someday I'm going to be burying the dog, you're fooling yourself. How could you possibly know that you're going to outlive the dog?
True.
It's people's subconscious, it's their default system to not think the way that I'm telling you to, but it's keeping it real. I mean, you could have your grandpa come in and move in with you because he's old and needs somebody to take care of him. And in your mind, you might think that you're going to outlive him and you're going to have to plan his funeral, but you do not know that. And if you think you know that, then you're not keeping it real with yourself. And I think it's important to keep it real with yourself. A lot of times, if I talk about the future, I will add, I hope, or I'll add, you know, God willing. And I'm not someone to throw the name God out a whole lot. So for me, a lot of times I'll say, I hope, you know, or if I'm still alive. Kit Likens, my kickboxing instructor, texted me, "Hey, I heard you're going to be in Battle Creek or something." And I said, "Yeah, on September 30th, if I'm still alive." And that's how I think about it. Like it seemed like it was so far away. And then I started thinking about it for a few days, and I was like, I better follow up with that. He might take that wrong. He might think, that I'm going through something, or and so I was like, it's just so far ahead, that I add that in. But I do, if someone says, hey, are you going to be in are you going to Canada in January? I cannot know. And so it's my one of my ways, my ideology to throw in that at least to know in your head that you just don't know. You don't know what's going on with someone else. Hey man, I don't care what the deal is, man. You don't ever punch a woman. I saw this guy hit his lady at the gas station. Man, I beat his fucking ass. I don't care what the deal is. Well, okay. What if that woman happened to have stolen everything from him? What if that woman killed his wife and kidnapped his baby? And what if, I don't know, what if that woman was swinging and hit him 10 times first? Absolutes is a whole different subject, which I do talk about. I don't believe in absolutes because everything is circumstantial, but everything all lines up because it all makes sense, just like nonfiction. It all ties in together. So because of that, we only know what we know, and it's really not that much in comparison to the bigger picture. We can tell each other, like, yeah, we're going away next weekend. We're going to go on vacation. And you can tell yourself that that, and you should plan on being around. You should plan on being alive. But if you really want to keep it real with yourself, maybe add in, we're going on vacation next weekend, God willing. And the reason it's important, I think, there's a few reasons, but one that I think I can explain about keeping it real with yourself is, then you won't be so shocked, and then you can handle when bad things happen. Because being shocked, being surprised, being caught off guard, that's not a good thing. That's you being vulnerable. That's you probably being damaged. And so it's best to just know that, hey, maybe make the most of spending the time with your loved ones right now, because you don't know that you're all going to be getting together again on Christmas next year. You don't fucking know. And when somebody passes away or something, people get shocked. People are still shocked that Eddie Guerrero died. It happened like so long ago. And I'm not talking bad about them, but I'm saying there's something to being prepared for the inevitable and being prepared for anything could happen, just by being real with yourself and saying that you really don't know how the events are going to unfold. All you can do is build the right tools so that you can make the right decisions, know your priorities, and live your life the best to your own values. But know that you don't know everything.
Man, holy smokes.
Yeah.
Well, do you know if you're going to be here next week to record? Are we going to, do you know that?
I certainly hope so.
There we go.
Do you know?
God willing. God willing, I'll be there. So it'll be interesting to see how I apply that this week. I'm looking forward to trying it.
Who's that? The wrestler, that like they were with Bray Wyatt, and they had the characters, and the Brody Lee.
Brody Lee, yes.
Remember, you don't think Brody Lee, when he was around with his family, you don't think they knew that they were going to be getting together for New Year's Eve? Right. They thought they knew that, but it didn't happen. That's real life. And, the longer you're alive, the more people you see pass. That's one thing that I've learned. And I've seen a lot of people go. It's not even just about that, but that's one really heavy way to make it really sink in, so that hopefully people can understand my point, is like, you don't know what's going to happen.
It's a sobering feeling, but it does help set the bar for you, like kind of, tamper your expectations for sure. So, good stuff, Rob. Good stuff.
Thanks, man. So next week you can tell me your stories about how many times you had to add God willing and how
right.
better about having the perspective of the bigger picture in line with reality.
Absolutely. Wait till I start spamming you with that too on through text.
That'd be awesome. Everybody leave comments about if you
Yes.
can relate to any of this shit. Tell
Absolutely.
me if I'm helping you. Tell me if you agree, if you disagree with RVDology. Tell me you still remember that match when I beat Cena.
Yeah, that part too. Anything else you want to plug, Rob? I know you're kind of taking it easy on June, right? But then you got things are starting to pick back up later on.
Actually, I think June I got 2 or 3 trips in June. The next travel for me is going to be June 11th. I'm in Jacksonville, Florida, at River City Wrestling at a convention, and Katie and I will both be there. So that's coming up the weekend after next. So until then, I got time to be home and catch up on a bunch of other stuff, both production and personal.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Hey guys, yeah, be sure to follow RVD at The Real RVD. You can follow me at Dominic DeAngelo. Follow the podcast at RVD Pod. And you can check out all the clips and everything like that at rvdpod.com. But you can get the full episode here. If you're seeing us on the Premier Streaming Network, and you can go to watchonpremier.com to check that out. So as far as anything else, I think that's all I really have to plug. So cool. Rob, this has been a great show. Holy crap. I learned a lot.
I don't know if I mentioned this before, but this just like popped in my head earlier and it just came back in my head. I was talking about asking you if you noticed ways, that like spreading the hearts were coming back to you. I was just talking about karma. They did a show, Rich and Shameless. There's a show called, and they just
I heard about that. Is it on TNT? I think.
I think it's on ID, but I don't know. You might be right. You might be right. I think you are right. Yeah. Because I remember, because that's what they said they were going to be on. They wanted me to be on the show they were going to do on Hulk Hogan, right? Oh. And the way that they pitched it to me was, they'll talk about my career, talk about his career, this and that. And when I saw Hulk, I mentioned it to him, and he said, yeah, they want to drag up a bunch of shit from the past. He said, I didn't tell you this, right?
No, you didn't tell me this, no.
He said, I just remembered, I can't tell you how it pays off yet.
That's okay.
Well, he didn't want me to. He said, I'd rather you not do it. And anyway, he said, they bring up all this old shit, and then my phone ain't ringing, and it's like it goes against me. And I'm like, yeah, but I'd be standing up for you. I'd be saying, you said, yeah, I'd rather you do it. So I was like, well, enough said. Hulk's the dude, that I used to watch growing up. He's the guy that I still feel like a fan around, like when he's Hulk Hogan. But anyway, enough said, that I won't do it. And I watched it the other day, and it was all about that sex tape. But so I turned that down. But as soon as I did, I got this other project about a big RVD project that I guess I can't really talk about yet. But I think you know about it anyway. I think I probably told you. But.
You might have. We'll talk about it when I hit end broadcast. That's what will happen.
Anyway, that's just karma. So it was like much bigger to have something about me than about him. That it came around to like boom. So wants to do this with you. Boom. I try and pay attention to that. Sometimes you never know. But you can be sure there might be something that might not have happened had this happened in the past. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, yeah.
It all goes around circle, man. All around circle.
Yes, sir. All right, cool, dude. Well, I enjoyed the talk. Know what you don't know. Just because you see a guy running down the sidewalk and everybody chasing him doesn't necessarily mean he's the bad guy. You don't know what happened.
You don't know what happened.
Don't shoot him.
Right.
about cops? How about cops? They get a call. They'll just go up to. I see this all the time. Videos of this. They go up to somebody, the wrong person, and they just go right up to them. They say, "All right, put your hands on there." I said, turn around and put your hands up, but you're not complying. Quit resisting. And they got the wrong guy because they got a call, or sometimes they got the right guy and the call was just so fucked up. Like the call said that they were doing a bunch of shit that they weren't even doing. And so the cop, he doesn't know anything. You should not take that call as even reasonable suspicion, let alone as facts,
Right. There's the detective work that comes into that too.
Right. Investigate.
Yeah.
Same thing with those, what do they call it? The raids when kids are playing video games. And
the swatting when they get swatted.
Yeah. Same thing. It's like those cops go in there not knowing what they think they know.
Right.
They go in there not knowing anything, and they got to realize that, and figure out, like you said, do some investigating.
Right. Your whole house gets destroyed. Jeez, what the hell?
Couple more examples if you don't understand it.
Right. Hey, hit us up. Hit us up in the comments if you don't get it. We'll get you. Cool. Hey, guys, God willing, hopefully we'll see you next week here.
Gosh, yes.
Kind with RVD.
I hope so.
I was waiting for some kind of sign, some kind of indication I was wasting my time. I got myself